Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight. Every single day, you are being brainwashed by your phone, by the news, by people who quit on their dreams trying to convince you to give up on yours, by your past failures whispering lies into your present. And if you don't intentionally brainwash yourself, the world will do it for you, and it won't be in your favor. Repetition is the mother of mastery. It's one of the most powerful principles in the world of success, achievement, and transformation. You don't get great by doing something once. You don't become confident, rich, strong, disciplined, or wise by dipping your toe in the water and calling it a swim. Mastery is not about exposure. It's about immersion. You have to repeat greatness until it becomes your nature. Think about how the mind works. Your subconscious is not moved by what you do once. It's moved by what you do over and over and over again. It learns through patterns, not exceptions. So if you want to change your life, you must change your patterns, and that starts with what you consistently repeat. If you want to master your craft, your money, your mindset, your health, then repetition isn't optional. It's essential. Every successful person you admire, from athletes to CEOs to world-class performers, has built their results on repetition. They trained when no one was watching. They repeated the fundamentals so many times it looked like second nature. You see the highlight reels, but you don't see the years they spent doing the same drills, reading the same lines, practicing the same moves, refining the same skills. The world rewards mastery, and mastery is the child of relentless repetition. And it's not just about skills, it's about beliefs. If you've been telling yourself for years that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not ready, guess what happens? That belief becomes real to you. It becomes a prison you can't even see. But you didn't believe it the first time you thought it. You believed it because it got repeated. Repetition built the lie. And repetition is the only thing that can destroy it. You've got to repeat the truth until it gets louder than the lies. This is why affirmations work, if you do them right. You can't just say something once and expect change. You have to speak it with authority. You have to write it down. You have to meditate on it. You have to hear it, see it, feel it every single day. Not because the words are magic, but because the repetition turns those words into beliefs, and beliefs drive behavior. It's the same reason you can memorize a song without trying. You've heard it so many times, it's burned into your brain. That's the power of repetition. It creates neurological grooves, and once those grooves are deep enough, your actions follow automatically. The reason most people never achieve mastery is because they quit too soon. They think effort is supposed to bring results right away. They try something for a week, don't see fireworks, and they bounce. But mastery doesn't reward the quick and casual. It rewards the consistent and committed. Repetition is boring to the average person. It's gold to the focused person, because the focused person understands that every time they repeat the right thing, they're stacking momentum, sharpening the edge, building the identity of someone who finishes what they start. Even failure is just a form of repetition. You fail enough times at something and you either build wisdom or you build excuses. The difference is how you respond. Winners use repetition to learn, to adapt, to level up. They see each cycle as a rep in the gym, another push forward, another layer of mastery being formed under pressure. Repetition builds mental toughness. It's what trains you to push when you don't feel like it. When your emotions want to quit, repetition reminds your body who's in charge. You train your willpower like a muscle, and the only way to make it stronger is to keep showing up over and over when it's fun, when it's hard, when no one claps, when you don't see the finish line. You show up anyway, because that's what repetition requires. And repetition always pays its dues. You either program your mind or the world will. Every day, your mind is being shaped, molded, and influenced, whether you realize it or not. The question is, who's in control? Because if you're not intentionally feeding your thoughts, someone else is. The world is loud, and it's full of voices telling you who to be, what to fear, what to buy, what's possible, and what isn't. And if you don't take control of what enters your mind, You'll end up living someone else's version of life, chasing someone else's goals, stuck in someone else's limitations. From the moment you wake up, you are bombarded with input. Social media, news headlines, text messages, gossip, distractions, negativity. It's all fighting for space in your brain. And the brain doesn't filter truth from lies based on what's right for you. It filters based on repetition and emotion. So if you keep hearing you're not enough, you're too late, the economy is bad, nobody wins anymore, there's no point in trying, your brain will start to file those statements as fact. Not because they're true, but because you heard them often enough. And once the brain accepts a belief, it begins to filter reality to match it. That's how powerful programming is. This is why intentional mental programming is non-negotiable. You have to decide what you allow in. You have to guard your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. Your results, your confidence, your peace, your direction in life, they're all built from what's happening inside your head. If you don't choose what thoughts to plant, weeds grow by default, doubt grows by default, fear, mediocrity, hesitation, and confusion grow by default. And those weeds choke out the seeds of purpose, power, and potential. The most successful people in the world didn't get there by accident. They programmed their minds for victory. They conditioned themselves daily. They didn't leave their mindset up to chance. They designed it. They fed it. They spoke to it. They reprogrammed it. You have to do the same. You have to become the architect of your own belief system. That means turning off what drains you and turning up what builds you. That means reading things that stretch you, listening to voices that challenge you, watching things that align with your vision, saying things to yourself that match the life you want to live, not the one you're trying to escape from. Most people spend more time planning a weekend than they do programming their mind for success. They wonder why they feel stuck, scattered, or overwhelmed. It's because their thoughts are on autopilot. And autopilot always follows the path of least resistance. But if you want an uncommon life, you need an uncommon mind. You need to choose your thoughts like a warrior chooses their weapons. You need to eliminate what weakens you and double down on what strengthens you. Programming your mind doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. It means deciding to focus on solutions instead of problems. It means training your brain to look for opportunity instead of obstacles. It means rehearsing the identity of the person you're becoming until it's more familiar than the version of you that's settled. It's the daily decision to reinforce truth over opinion, faith over fear, and purpose over pressure. You can't build a powerful life on a powerless mind. You have to lead your thoughts. You have to dominate your inner world before you can ever master your outer world. The power is in the repetition, in the discipline, in the clarity of who you are and what you refuse to tolerate in your thinking. Because your life will always reflect the strongest voice in your head. If that voice isn't yours, if it's society, the media, your past, or your critics, then you've already surrendered control. Your thoughts shape your results. That's not philosophy, that's reality. Everything you have or don't have in your life right now is a direct reflection of your most dominant thoughts. Your thoughts are not just private little ideas floating around in your mind. They are blueprints. They are signals. They are seeds that grow into the actions you take, the decisions you make, and the habits you keep. You cannot escape the law that your internal world creates your external world. It's not just about what happens around you, it's about what happens inside of you that determines your outcomes. Most people don't realize how powerful their thoughts are because they're so used to thinking on autopilot. They're reacting instead of directing. They're consuming more than they're creating. They're listening to the noise of negativity, doubt, fear, and comparison without ever questioning it. And what happens? Those thoughts take root. And over time, those thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become behavior. Behavior becomes results. So if you're constantly thinking, I'm not enough, I never win, this won't work for me, then that mindset will lead you to make decisions that align with defeat. You'll play small. You'll hesitate. You'll sabotage. Not because you can't win, but because your thoughts never gave you permission to. That's how powerful this is. Thoughts are not harmless. They are the architects of your destiny. You think in fear, you act in fear. You think in faith, you act in faith. You think abundance, you make decisions based on opportunity. You think scarcity, you make decisions based on survival. You can trace every major decision in your life back to the thoughts that dominated your mindset in that season. Whether you took a risk or played it safe, whether you grew or stayed stuck, whether you thrived or barely got by, it started in your thinking. The truth is, most people try to change their life by changing their circumstances, but circumstances are just symptoms. The root is the thought. If you want to level up your income, your relationships, your health, your purpose, you don't start by forcing change on the outside. You start by upgrading your thoughts. You start by identifying the mental scripts that are holding you back and rewriting them with truth, power, and clarity. You stop letting the past dominate your future. You stop letting your environment shape your identity. You start choosing thoughts that reflect the kind of person you want to become. This is why self-talk is so critical. You're always in conversation with yourself. The only question is, what kind of conversation are you having? Are you talking yourself out of greatness? Or are you reminding yourself of who you really are? Are you magnifying the problem, or are you focusing on the possibility? Because whatever thought you feed will grow. You can't entertain fear all day and expect to walk in power. You can't soak in doubt and expect to make bold moves. You can't replay every mistake and expect to feel free. Your mind becomes what you expose it to most. You have the power to rewire your brain. Science has proven it. Neuroplasticity shows that your thoughts literally shape the structure of your brain. You can build new patterns, new habits, new responses, but it starts with the quality and consistency of your thinking. You can't think powerless and expect powerful results. You can't think like a victim and expect to live like a victor. You can't think small and build big. You must discipline your mind to serve your future, not your fear. That's the real work. Not just hustling harder, but thinking clearer. Not just doing more, but thinking higher. Your results don't lie. They will always tell you the truth about the thoughts you've been having consistently. Change the thoughts and the results follow. Every single time. Daily brainwashing with purpose creates unstoppable momentum. Most people hear the word brainwashing and they get uncomfortable. They think manipulation, control, or deception. But the truth is, brainwashing is happening all around you every single day. Every advertisement you see, every headline you read, every comment you hear from a doubtful friend, every piece of content you consume, it's all shaping how you think. The question isn't whether or not you're being brainwashed. The question is, who's doing the brainwashing and for what purpose? If you're not intentionally washing your mind clean of negativity, fear, doubt, and distraction, then the world is doing it for you with agendas that don't serve your destiny. That's why brainwashing yourself on purpose is one of the most powerful success habits you can develop. It's about intentional mental conditioning. It's about programming your mind daily to think from power, vision, clarity, abundance, confidence, and execution. You don't become unstoppable by accident. You become unstoppable when you create a rhythm, a daily ritual that aligns your thoughts with your highest self, your greatest goals, and your truest potential. When you do this long enough, momentum becomes automatic. You no longer need to force motivation. You no longer wait for inspiration to strike. You become the source of it. Momentum is not magic. It's a byproduct of consistency. And the mind responds to what is consistent. It believes what it hears the most, what it sees the most, what it rehearses the most. So if every single day you're telling yourself the truth about who you are, if you're feeding your vision more than your fear, if you're reminding yourself of what's possible, if you're exposing your mind to power instead of problems, then momentum starts to build. At first, it's small. You might feel like nothing is changing, but over time, the compounding effect kicks in. A little more clarity, a little more discipline, a little more belief. Then suddenly, you look up and realize you're moving faster, thinking sharper, executing stronger. That's what brainwashing with purpose does. It eliminates the mental static that slows most people down. It silences the inner critic that keeps people stuck. It replaces confusion with conviction. You stop questioning if you're good enough, smart enough, or ready enough because you've rehearsed the truth so many times it becomes your default setting. You don't need to pump yourself up every time you face resistance. You've already programmed yourself to respond with grit, with focus, with drive. That's the power of intentional repetition. That's how you build internal momentum so strong that external circumstances can't derail you. This is where most people miss it. They try to build momentum through external wins, through results, validation, applause. But real momentum starts inside. It starts in the mind. It starts with what you choose to repeat. You don't wait until you feel like a winner to start thinking like one. You think like a winner long enough that the results have no choice but to follow. You build the identity before the outcome. You create alignment before acceleration. When your thoughts, words, and actions all agree with your purpose, your pace increases and your energy becomes magnetic. People notice, opportunities open, doors start appearing that weren't there before, not because they never existed, but because your previous mindset couldn't see them. Brainwashing yourself with purpose means choosing to immerse your mind in what strengthens you. You flood your thoughts with wisdom, vision, faith, and strategy. You remove the distractions that dilute your focus. You eliminate the mental junk food that weakens your self-belief. It's a process of mental purification and alignment. You become unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because your internal state gets stronger. You build a level of belief and drive that creates motion, even on the days you feel stuck. You condition your mind so thoroughly that the standard becomes progress, the expectation becomes growth, and the habit becomes showing up regardless of how you feel.